You're listening to the Fayetteville 411 podcast, produced by the City of Fayetteville, where you will get information about city government and the programs and services we provide. You'll get topics of interest and an inside look into the various departments that help keep our city moving. I'm John Salling.
And I'm Sherry Kropp. Thanks for joining us for the Fayetteville 411. Today, we are delighted to have Michael Gibson, Director of Fayetteville-Cumberland Parks and Recreation, with us. And he's going to give us an overview of the many, many services that the department provides. And we're going to talk about some of the projects that have been completed this year, as well as what is upcoming. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Like I said, I'm just thrilled that you're here because you're always like in the background, and not out front very much. And, I thought for sure whenever I invited someone from Parks and Rec, someone else might show up, but here you are.
No.
I'm so happy. I think it's great that we have you on the podcast today because you've been with the city for a long time.
Thank the Lord.
And not many people know that you actually, I'll let you explain how you got started with Parks and Recreation up until where you are right now.
Okay. All right. Well, graduated from Fayetteville State, and I was a camp counselor over at J.S. Spivey Recreation Center. And at the time, Dorothy Gilmore was the superintendent for Parks and Recreation. And she said to me, if you graduate college, I'll hire you. And I worked over there at Spivey Recreation Center during the summer while I was at Fayetteville State. And then I was lucky enough to get out of school, and she hired me. And from camp counselor to assistant center director to center director to athletic coordinator to parks department to park superintendent, and then the city saw fit to give me an opportunity to be the director, and so far they hadn't run me off yet.
And you've been the director for how long?
I think it's probably been about 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
And you've seen a lot of change within Parks and Recreation, and I'm sure you're proud of all the projects that have gone through those years, and you've seen those completed.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's good that we gave these citizens an opportunity to vote on how they wanted their community to look in a recreational environment, and we were blessed enough that they passed a bond that gave us a push and a little impetus to move forward, and there were some council members passed away late, Mr. Bill Chris, who insisted that we upgrade some of our recreational facilities and add some value to our pools. We were given the opportunity, and I got some great people who work for me who are smarter than I am. And we were able to take what was given to us and move forward.
Awesome. And it's been a pretty busy year for parks this year, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Can you tell us some about that? How have things been going?
Well, I'll tell you one of the things is, and we've been lucky enough. I know you've heard about how the lifeguard shortage is across the state and, throughout the nation. With my staff, with James McMillan and the people he worked with on the recreation side, they developed a plan to recruit and retain lifeguards in this community, and I'm happy to say we were one of the cities in the state who did not have any issues with lifeguards.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a big deal. Most people, because we operate the way we operate, they saw no services reduced because we didn't have enough lifeguards, and as many people who the fire department would let us got into a pool on a consistent basis. And right there when we were going through this summer with the heat wave, we had got to a point where we were averaging about 1,500 people a day. And we have over 100 lifeguards managing that environment and making sure people are safe and can enjoy. So that's been a big deal this summer. And we've been, and luckily to say we've managed it well, and people have enjoyed those pools that we have, and we only had a few breakdowns this year where parts went, and just because they're being used so hard.
Yeah.
And we're on the downside now to finishing up the season. With our splash pad environment, we have about 14 throughout the county. Those are perfect for grandparents and their grandchildren. so they don't have to worry. The biggest thing that happens to them is they run around and fall and scrape their knees or something like that. But those kinds of lifestyle amenities help this community grow and bring people in, and people live a good life. So those are our busiest places, no more than what we have with our sporting environment and people playing sports. Being able to have the facilities. I think we were lucky enough this year with the ARPA funding that we upgraded a bunch of playground units that were becoming a little bit older. So we improved those, and one of the things that I'm proud of that we did, or we were able to budget through, was that we didn't put down mulch this year. Under some of our newer playground units, we put down rubber, so they made them more accessible to our population that has special needs. So that's something that we're focusing on more and more, and as the budget allows, we'll either retrofit some of our older playground units to do the rubberized surface that allows more access.
And that takes me into, you've got a lot of programs that you offer in the community, but that reminds me of your Buddy Sports program, which is a unique program.
Oh, man.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, and what that is that there are the community, that children who need extensive help, their service level for what they can do and what they can enjoy, they need help. To enjoy baseball or enjoy soccer. We were blessed enough at the beginning of the bond about 6-7 years ago, in working with Major League Baseball and funding that we got from the state, because there was a big bond at the time that we were able to dip into and pull some money out of. And we did what they call now Miracle Fields. And what that means is, and it's over at Massey Hill Recreation Center, and it's a rubberized environment. The whole baseball field, 210 feet fence that you can turn into a soccer field, or you can turn into a baseball field. And what you do is, kids who are in wheelchairs or who are can't move as fast and they need help. And that's where the buddy thing comes in.
Yeah.
So that you have children from colleges, from high schools, from elementary schools, from middle schools. They come into the program and they help those kids enjoy those kinds of sports. And we've been very blessed in having that kind of participation throughout the community to help in the Buddy Sports program, and it's a thriving environment.
And I know you offer everything from basketball to baseball.
Yes.
And that also brings me to the Dorothy Gilmore Adaptive Recreation Center, who also caters to people with mobility issues and things like that. So that's a great recreation center.
And we have a
there.
Sensory room.
Yes, yeah,
That is
it's very nice. I think it was remodeled a little bit last year.
It was part of the bond pack. And it's a program that has no limits. And what I mean by that is children from all over the county. We don't, there are some areas who are not in the district, who are not in the Parks and Recreation environment, but we cater to everybody who is a special need. So Dorothy Gilmore, we added about 3,000 square feet to it, and we added a sensory room to it. We added some health equipment that allows people with disadvantages to use those pieces to work on their body, to keep in shape, to stay strong. We added 2 years before we did the remodeling, we added a splash pad that was designed exactly for children in wheelchairs. We have wheelchairs that are used to go into water. So that facility caters to that community to make sure that they don't feel left out in anything. There's a gymnasium in there. There's a kitchen where they learn how to cook, and like I said, the sensory room is a big deal. Even some of the pictures on the wall, because kids like to touch in that autism environment, and those touching pieces on the walls allows them to feel, and it's sensory throughout the building, not just that room. So we're really proud of that. We have some great people who work over there who understand the sensitivities in those environments. So to have that tool for this community, for people. And I didn't know this, and don't let me get away with this now, because I can talk about this
No,
for a
you're
long
good.
time.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't know there was some statements made in at Fort Liberty, and I didn't know that people who transfer in the military who have special need children have first choice to come to Fayetteville.
Oh,
Because we
is
have,
that because of the Dorothy Gilmore?
because we cater
Yeah.
to the needs of that community, and they have more to do than most cities offer.
And I was going to say it's really
I'm telling you.
the only one of its kind.
I'm
right
telling you, that thing touched me. So
very good.
So we're very focused on making sure that we don't let that down, because they're such a great partner in our community. And so we enjoy that, and knowing that we're one of the leaders in the country that cater to military communities who have special need children.
Wow, and that is an incredible
It is
reputation
now.
to have.
I'm
there.
telling you, I was surprised. That touched me now.
That's awesome. And from that facility to another new facility this year, Senior Center East. Can
Oh.
you tell us how that's going?
Man, let me tell you. I'll tell you. If you talked about Bill Chris, and you know that's more of a rural setting. It sits on a lake. It's a senior center, and the reason
well, for now, because that area is really growing.
Oh, let me
you know.
let me tell you something. There are plans. We're putting a walking trail that connects. You can walk out of the back of the building, connect into the greenways plan, and there are conversations about how we make sure that it connects to the peninsula that goes up Bone Creek all the way up to Cliffdale Road, because there is undeveloped land, and they want to be able to have that community that can walk or use golf carts to get to the Bill Chris Center. But to talk about Senior Citizen East, it's more of an urban setting. It's in a heavily populated area. I think one of the things that people don't really understand or don't know about is that probably 75% of the professors at Fayetteville State are seniors. So to have a facility that's right across the street that caters to their environment, having the therapeutic pool, having the fitness center inside, having the library inside, it gives those a caterer's kitchen in there. So it gives those citizens or those seniors who need exercise, who need therapy, who needs just to be able to sit around and have fun and talk to people. There are racquetball courts
It's
inside.
very nice. Very nice.
That they can double as pickleball courts. So having that tool or that recreation facility for our seniors, and seniors are 38% of the population in Fayetteville. So you want to make sure that they feel their tax dollars are valued, that now they have something that they know, this is what I paid for, and now I have it.
It's great. It's really beautiful. I know it was modeled a lot after Bill Crisp. There was such huge excitement whenever
Yes.
Bill Crisp opened.
Yes.
And then when Senior Center East opened, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was about 800 people standing out there. So
It was
we
exciting.
We were happy.
So kind of jumping around a little bit, but we talked about the two senior centers, and then there's also like a fitness center for seniors. Is Tokay still?
It's still open.
Okay.
It's still open, and it still has the same hours. And we said when we were going to do it, because the fitness center at Senior Citizen East is not as large as the one at Bill Chris, so we wanted to make sure that we didn't, stifle people's ability to stay in shape or still use Tokay and still have Bill Chris. So on this side, and the population is a little bit more heavier because we're reaching all the way up Ramsey Street, all the way to Bragg Boulevard, all the way out to the county.
And two other special facilities, I guess you would call it, is the Fayetteville History Museum, which falls up under Parks and Recreation. That's not really considered a recreation center, but
Nah.
that's something that's
It's there.
in your venue. Let's not forget about Veterans Park, too. I don't know if we mentioned that one, but Parks and Recreation also oversees Veterans Park,
Right.
and that's a great place
Oh,
for
yeah.
visitors to come in and see. And
Oh yeah, I mean it's a state place. It was funded through the state. One of the things that always gets me when we go in there is the 100 hand.
yeah.
And when you see that wall, it took a hit over when we had the hurricanes back to back, and then we had the thunderstorm there. but it's starting to round back into shape after the last 3 years. Everything was submerged underwater.
Yeah, I
and you
remember
don't
that.
know how things behave once they're underwater. So we're bringing it back, and it's starting to get back to its strength. So, but it's a great place to go, and right next across is the ASOM. So it gives that value for the military.
I know my parents certainly appreciated visiting it when they
Oh
came down.
man, that's good.
Yeah.
Glad they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Glad they enjoyed it. That's a good.
Approximately how many recreation centers do you have that are placed all throughout, not only just Fayetteville, but Cumberland County,
Well,
too?
altogether, there's probably about 22, and we were debating Clark Park Nature Center because
yes.
it's become more of a recreational place that kids learn about how to feed animals, how to understand living in an environment where animals are. And not being
Wildlife and natural-
afraid,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So they get that understanding. Just not watching TV, you can get some hands on. And Clark Park sits in a very nice place, right off of the river trail. So you have access, and it has a playground unit out there too. So yeah, about 22.
Okay. And back to the pools, how many pools do we have?
4.
4 pools. Lake Rim,
Westover. And you have College Lakes, and you have Smith.
and okay.
Ronnie Chalmers.
Or Seabrook, or
Seabrook.
what? Yeah,
Yes.
it's
People call it. You know how
multiple
we have
names.
multiple names in
Yeah.
Fayetteville now.
Yeah.
And splash pads?
14,
Awesome.
and a couple more to come. Oh, let me tell you,
That's wonderful.
it is.
So, Michael, we talked about all of the wonderful programs and activities that you have, the athletics and things like that you offer. We do want to let residents know that there is going to be a fee increase that's going to be effective on September the 1st. Talk about that.
Well, like we've said earlier, that there were opportunities with inflation that we needed to stay at the same level that we were at to providing the services and making sure that ball fields were cut, that pool chemicals were bought. So we had a fee increase. And we still have, what a lot of people know is that we still have a residency fee and we have a non-residency fee. And that's for people who participate in the district. They pay a residency fee, and people who are not participating in the district funding or don't live inside the county, they pay a non-residency fee. So our basketball environment, baseball environment for sports went from $20 to $40. And if you're non-resident, you pay double that. So that would be $80. And it was previously $25. Then our youth football program was $30, and now it's $45. Your non-residents, it's $90. Previously, that was $60. So that's how the fee increases went, just to make sure that we could sort of stay at the level. We didn't go out and say, oh, well, previously baseball was $25. Now we're going to go to $75. We tried to keep it at a level of inflation to make sure that we were able to let people still enjoy. And one of the things I want to make sure that people really understand, if there is what we call a hardship, and a parent might have 4 kids or 3 kids, and they want to come in and say, look, I want all my kids to participate, but I can't pay that fee. We have a way of making sure through documents that parent will hit a reduced fee. That has not changed. Council has not allowed us to move away from that. So if there is a hardship, then we have ways of making sure that kids still allowed to play based on the parent's income.
Very good, very good. That's wonderful. And for people who would like more information, you can always go to fcpr.us.
That's us.
You can find out about all the programs that are available, the fee schedules, and things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we talked about the recreation centers, the centers that are for seniors, the adaptive center. You offer so much more than that. You have parks, trails.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I know some of the larger parks are Arnett, Masrick, Lake Rim Park,
yep.
Clark Park, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
And then the trails.
Oh, yeah, we have, and that's one of the things that's happening now. Councilmember Hare has me under the gun for developing what we call the East Shore Trail, so you have connectability. If you go online, you'll see our greenways plan. And what we're trying to do, and what we've said that we would want to do, is have that walkable community. So every opportunity that we get to add a trail through DOT funding or FAMPO funding, that's what we're doing. But we're continually building that bridge that connects the community without having to enter into a vehicle to do it. Walking, riding a bicycle, that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you what, I love Cape Fear River Trail.
Oh, there's a lot of people who love Cape Fear River Trail.
Yes. And when I haven't been lately because I've been lazy, but when I do go out there, I see families. They're riding their bikes. They're walking their dogs.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people love that.
Well, and we're going to be adding value now. We're going to be adding value where the trail that comes from Masrick will come through the MLK Park. There's another stretch that'll go right down through Veterans Park 2, right up the old Hill Street roadbed and bring you into the downtown area. One of the most things that I'm excited about, and council approved it a couple of weeks ago, is our wayfinding signage, along with adding the African American Heritage Trail that go to some of our historic and pieces. But that wayfinding and the signage is a big deal, and we were lucky enough to get funded with that, and that'll be being rolled out over the next year, and we'll just add a piece, add a piece, add a piece, and we'll just fund it all. So those are good.
Let's not forget about our four-legged friends too. We have what, 3 dog parks?
Yes. Let me tell you, we have the one out on 301, have one over at Westover, and we had one off of Bailey Lake Road, and they are heavily used.
And the one thing that we did not mention also are the pickleball courts, because people are crazy about those.
Yeah, gotta have the pickleball courts.
And so I've seen a lot of additions to the pickleball courts.
One.
Talk about that.
Oh yeah, pickleball has been one of the fastest growing sports in America. Whether it's seniors, whether it's middle age, whether it's kids, and we had a wave of participation and a wave of interest over the last 3 years. Whether you're in Wade, or whether you're in Linden, whether you're in Eastover, whether you're in Massey Hill or in Rowan Street, and we've been lucky enough to be able to add that value. We're up to about 21 pickleball courts now. We'll be adding 4 pickleball courts in the new tennis center environment. So that is a process that we're well aware of and cognizant of it. Not to say that we're not going to continue with our tennis environment. But pickleball has definitely established themselves as something recreational that this community wants to participate in.
And so we know about a lot of the athletics programs, recreational activities, the different parks and trails. What are some things that people might not know as well that are part of Parks and Rec? What other services?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things, and we had a little conversation before, one of the things that I'm proud about and is that when we did our master planning, probably about 3 years ago now, to update it, we were, you hire a consultant, they go out in the public and they take these, you have these charrettes and you have these public meetings and you have these online surveys. And one of the things that was disappointing to me, but it was a good thing, I mean, because it's what we strive to do, is people said, what is Parks and Recreation known for? And everybody said sports.
Athletics, right.
That's what they said. They didn't say that. They said they're just known for sports. And it was sort of, it was good. I mean, you can't say it wasn't, but, there are a lot of children and a lot of people who are not sports oriented. So we set out an opportunity to look for chances to change what our business model looks like. And we were lucky enough to get some state funding, and then the county added some more funding, and we're going to be opening up over at the Orange Street School. We were funded to rehab that building, one of the first black schools for African Americans in this community, and now we're going to be turning it into a STEM program and a recording studio for kids who are into music, so they'll learn how to write, they'll learn how to create. Our STEM environment, that there are kids who are scientists who want to do computers and understand how to go into that world. So we're adding that into the portfolio of Parks and Recreation, which helps us be more balanced throughout and just not be on the sports side of recreation, that now we can add some value for the artistic side and kids who are into science. So that's a big deal for me. I'm happy that we're going to be able to do that. And we're pushing hard to get that done in the next probably 60 to 90 days.
That's great. That's great. So much history behind Orange Street School.
Oh,
and it's,
my goodness.
It's great to see it being repurposed and used that way.
And we're going to be modeling it because when you walk into it, we're pushing to have that museum quality that also function as a place where people actually do things in it. But the history of it, we want to make sure that we value that and don't disrespect it.
So you all cover so much.
Oh, yeah.
The athletics, the youth development programs, the recreational activities that people of all ages and abilities can enjoy.
Easily.
How many participants in the youth sports? Do you know how many you had this past year?
I think it's around, right up till now, I think it's around 12,000. Because during the wintertime, you have football, but we still, during the summertime, offer summer league basketball, indoor soccer. We offer fall baseball, and now we're venturing into. Soccer's always big, but now we're venturing into rugby, field hockey.
Yeah.
So you have such an eclectic environment here when you have a large population of military dependents who come from all over the world, and you start to build that new. Sports environment because that's what they're used to. So we're adapting to those new behaviors and giving those kids an opportunity. If that's what they want to do, then we'll support that too. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It
is a lot.
I'm
It is a
telling
lot.
you, yeah.
How many employees do you have?
During the regular year, we probably have about 160. And then during the summertime, we add the same number. So it's about 365. All the way from about May all the way to September, and then we fall back into our 160 until we flip back over to our outdoor activities.
And that's just in the recreation portion of it, though.
Well, no,
Because-
that's the total thing for
Is that-
parks and facility maintenance. That's all
Okay,
of them.
that's okay.
All. It's a lot.
That's all you have, and they do such a fantastic
Oh
job.
man, we do.
handling all-
We process and prove.
Yes. So, real quick, before we wrap up, let's talk about any projects that are currently underway that you might want to talk about, or any upcoming. Okay.
Right now, from a finishing up the bond package, we have the tennis center, which will be back on schedule. It has a 6,500 square foot tennis building that will have showers, conference rooms, a snack environment. Then you'll have 10 hard courts and 4 clay courts. You'll have a championship court that adds value where we can bring in tournaments. We have the sports complex that'll have 12 fields. We'll have the Cape Fear River Park. That'll be a green environment where people can now access the river and be able to see it and hang out. We have a Mabel C. Smith building where that community will have a community building along with their splash pads. So we'll be able to add all of that value once we get everything back on track and moving forward.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank y'all.
Michael, for being
Thank
our
you.
guest
Appreciate
today. You gave us a ton of information. Well, things I kind of knew already, but
Well,
there's
that's a good thing.
probably some people out there that didn't realize that you had all of these different programs and facilities to offer, especially because we have so many new people coming in all the time. So I appreciate you going over that.
Thank y'all for having us now.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Fayetteville 411. The Fayetteville 411 is one of several podcasts that the city produces for our podcast channel, Radio Fayetteville. Be sure to subscribe to Radio Fayetteville, available on most of your favorite podcast streaming platforms.
You can also listen to every podcast that Radio Fayetteville has to offer by downloading the Fay TV streaming app, available now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can view all of our video content by visiting faytv.net. To get information about city services, go to our webpage at fayettevillenc.gov. Thanks for joining us.
Get outdoors and get moving. Visit one of the many parks and trails offered through Fayetteville-Cumberland Parks and Recreation. Walk, run, or bike on the scenic Cape Fear River Trail. Dogs are welcome too, but they must be on a leash. If your furry friends prefer to let loose, take them to one of our 3 dog parks for some tail wagging fun. Dogs must be licensed and have current vaccinations. Learn more about our recreation opportunities by visiting fcpr.us.